What's up guys? Today I'm reviewing the 2019 Mercedes-AMG GT63, otherwise known as the GT 4-door. I just want to thank my friend Fabricio for lending me the car for a couple days to review it, to go through all its unique features and see what it's like to drive. Alright, let's go check it out. Alright, here she is. The 2019 Mercedes-AMG GT63, otherwise known as the GT 4-door. Now this is the GT63 variant and not the GT63S. So it produces 577 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque, which goes to all four wheels. And the car actually also comes with a drift mode that will send all the power to the rear wheels, effectively making it a burnout monster. So a stock GT63 is good for 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds and up to a top speed of 193 miles an hour. However, this one has received an ECU tune and it currently makes more to the wheels than a GT63S. So its 0 to 60 is definitely under 3 seconds. And when you use the race start with this car, which is the Mercedes-AMG's launch control feature, it spins all four wheels, but it quickly gains traction and it just feels like an absolute rocket ship. So this color is called graphite gray metallic, and at night it looks very, very dark, almost black. But out here in the sun you can see that there's a lot of metal flake, a lot of different colors, blues, greens, reds, yellows, pinks, all different kinds of colors. Looks very, very good. And it has 20-inch forged AMG wheels all around. There's many different wheel options for this car. This is one of the ones I like quite a lot. There are other options that are actually bigger, like 21, but either way, you get the 6-piston front calipers, the Brembos, and you have the 4-piston in the rear. No carbon ceramics in this car, although it is an option. And new for all the 2018 and up AMG models, they're all V8 bi-turbo. However, you now have 4MATIC Plus. So it's a much more advanced version of 4MATIC, which is the all-wheel drive system for Mercedes-Benz. It basically has torque vectoring. It can send any amount of power it needs to any wheel, depending on the situation. Of course, you get the drift mode feature, which will make it become essentially completely rear-wheel drive. That actually deactivates all the safety features, so you're basically on your own. And it actually has rear-wheel steering, which we'll get a look at in a minute when we go to drive the car. So as you'd expect, there's a whole host of safety and technology features available on these cars. And this one is actually pretty well optioned out. It has the surround view 360-degree camera system. It has what used to be Distronic Plus, is now called Drive Pilot. So you have the radar sensors there. You have the 2 stereoscopic cameras in the windshield, which will allow for the more advanced autonomous driving features. Let's see, you got another camera right here in the mirror. You got one around back. And speaking of the rear of this car, when it first came out, a lot of people didn't really like the rear end of the car, but it was more of an acquired taste. I, however, loved it right off the bat, especially with the retractable spoiler out, and you have the more aggressive diffuser here, and he has the night package and the bigger exhaust tips for the 63, of course. There's also a GT53 that has Mercedes-Benz's turbocharged inline-6 engine. Makes a lot of power for what it is, but you really want the 63. And if you can, go for the aero package. It gives you actually a large fixed spoiler here, some more aero bits around the front and the back. It's not only with the Edition 1. It is standard on the Edition 1, but it is an option for the GT63s and 63Ss as well. So this car has the night package, which gives you the black wheels, all the black badges, the black side vent here, the mirrors, door handles, side skirts, and around back you have the black badges and the diffuser and the exhaust tips. Now Fabricio has also tastefully tinted the taillights back here to make it more aggressive, and he's also tinted the Drive Pilot sensor cover here. Looks very good. You can still see the Mercedes star, and the sensors have no trouble seeing through that. And as you can see, this car has a big mouth, needs a lot of cooling for that 4-liter handcrafted bi-turbo V8, and there's a lot of vents and coolers and things like that. And one of the reasons people call this the 4-door AMG GTR is because it has these active vents here that will actually open depending on the temperature of the car or whatever its cooling needs are at the time. And Fabricio has actually also tinted the Mercedes badge here, the emblem on the bumper. as well as the AMG logo here on the front grille, and also the badges here. So that's painted the 4MATIC Plus. Actually looks pretty good, ties into the nice theme of the car, the black and yellow, and of course that dark gray, the graphite gray metallic. So for quite a few years now, Mercedes-Benz and Mercedes-AMG models have come with very advanced headlight systems, and the GT63 is no exception. So you actually get these multi-beam LED headlights, which are self-contained, sealed, full LED units, and they have the projectors here, the little housings that move around, and there's actually a bunch of little LEDs inside that will illuminate or turn off depending on the traffic conditions and if there's any oncoming cars. So very, very smart headlights, and you'll get to see those in a second, along with the hazard lights and the tail lights. Now, one car that obviously comes to mind when you look at the shape of this car is the Porsche Panamera. And while it's similar, I wouldn't say it's the same exact silhouette. I personally think this is a better looking car, especially from the rear, and the front is much more aggressive. If you go for the Sport Turismo, the new Panamera, it's more of a station wagon, and I guess that would compete with the E63S wagon. It's a large car. It's also a lot more expensive than this. You can go up to almost $250,000, where I believe this is probably 175, 180 range. Now that's not cheap, and I know that they get more expensive than that, but for the amount of car you're getting, you really can't complain. Alright, so let's check out what the cargo space is like. So you've got that retractable spoiler here. It actually has 4 different settings you can go to, and of course completely flush with the body. So a pretty common feature on most modern Mercedes-Benz models is the kick to open the trunk function. You don't really have to kick the car, you just have to really swipe your foot underneath. So you just do that with the key in your pocket, and just like that. In this case it's a hatchback, so large trunk opening, lots of cargo space. You can really put anything you want here, and I don't think the seats fold down. And there's no pass-through option on this car, but even without that, there's plenty of space. And being a hatchback, you really do have to lift cargo pretty high over the opening here. But you've got this nice sill plate here, so it doesn't get scratched or scratch up the car. And it's got the cover here, got the shelf cover, and then you have the sunshade back there. And to close the hatch, you can either do that. That'll lock the car, that'll close it, and you can stop at any position you want. That looks like a blank. I've actually never seen that. It's a blank. It looks like for this panel of buttons. I wonder in Europe if they have it on that side, since the steering wheel's on this side. So we're going to swipe again, like that. And the hatch closes. The wing stays out. And that's it. Alright, first let's get a look at that 4-liter bi-turbo V8. Alright, there we go. Very, very similar, in fact, almost identical to the E63S. We got the hot V there, the turbos in the valley, so they actually stay nice and hot, and that way you get a lot less turbo lag. I haven't really noticed any, especially with the tune. And of course, with Mercedes-AMG's one-man, one-engine policy, this engine's been handcrafted by this individual here in Falterbach, Germany. And it's pretty standard, nothing really crazy looking. You know, the turbochargers are there. Normally on the older M157 or 5.5 liter V8s, they would be down right on the side of the engine. But yeah, pretty standard. A lot of plastic, a lot of cooling, a lot of vents, a lot of technology. You can see the Distronic or the Drive Pilot sensors down there. All the parking sensors, and then all the modules for the headlights. They're very complicated headlights, and I would hate to have to pay to replace one or both. But that's just part of it. And close it down. Alright, now let's get a look at what the headlights look like when they're on. So we'll put the ignition on here. Actually, if you notice, the start-stop button will glow. It'll pulse. It's pretty cool. You can see the ambient lighting in the vents. We'll go more over that later. So we got the ignition on here. We'll put the rear fog light on too. As you can see, the blind spot monitor lit up, and this is an active blind spot monitoring system. So if a car is approaching fast, it'll actually come on a lot sooner, or if it's approaching slowly, it'll come on, and then if you put your turn signal on the corresponding side, it'll flash, and then there'll be an audible warning inside the car. So first I'll show you with the DRLs. As you can see, they're very, very bright, even in the daytime. And you can see the DRLs are white, and they're switchback, so they turn to amber when you put the turn signal on. Here you can see all the little LEDs inside there. It's kind of hard to make out, but they're quite interesting headlights. See the multi-beam LED. So now we'll put the hazard lights on. So you've got the indicators in the mirror. Very standard mirror. You'll find this pretty much across the Mercedes-Benz and Mercedes-AMG range. And it's pretty cool. You got this blue accent lighting here. It's really just part of the design, but cool nonetheless. So now for the turn signals or hazard lights, you got the ambers here. And then around back, you have these long sweeping wraparound taillights. And actually similar to the AMG GT series, you have these little individual LEDs. So you check those out. And you've got the reverse lights right here. And you've actually got a little fog light down below. It's pretty bright actually for 3 little LEDs. Now, even though the platform of this car is technically based on the E63S chassis, and it's really more of an elongated E63 with a different body and very different interior, which you'll see in a second. Make no mistake, this is not a Mercedes-Benz model. There's no non-AMG version of this car. The lowest version is the GT53. There's supposed to be a GT73 hybrid coming out. But the 63 and 63S, they're definitely the top dogs right now for the GT 4-door series. So this is actually the 3rd vehicle that has been designed, engineered from the ground up, solely by the team at AMG in a Falterbach. The first one was the SLS AMG years ago, and then you had the AMG GT series, so you had the GT, GTS, GTC, GTR, now the GTR Pro, and the upcoming GT Black series, which everybody's excited for. And the 3rd is the GT 4-door series, so this being the 63. This and the 63S actually came out first, and then the 6-cylinder one later. And like I said earlier, there's supposed to be a 73 or a mild hybrid system coming out, but we'll have to wait and see. But either way, this is a purebred AMG from the ground up, and it really shows, especially on a road course or twisty roads, or even just straight off the line when you're doing the race start. The way that it's composed, how stiff the suspension is. This is not as comfortable as a Panamera, and that's not the point. It's supposed to basically be a 4-door race car. And it 100% is. It can hold its own on any road course. I mean, there's a lot of videos of it on YouTube I'm sure you can check out. But this one's actually been to Homestead here in Miami. And it impresses a lot of people. So now let's step inside and check out the interior. Turn off the lights and hazard lights. Start it up. Close it up. So this car doesn't have soft close. I don't know if it's an option on these cars, but either way, they're not heavy doors. They're easy to close. And right away, a lot of you will probably be familiar with this layout here. This dual 12.3-inch screens. They're not separated anymore. They actually have one glass panel over them, but they're still the same size screen. And the seat controls, obviously there's a lot in here that's been carried over from the E63 and also passed down obviously from the S-Class. But what you're really going to notice that's new and stands out the most is this center stack here. It has the 8 buttons to signify V8, and you have the shifter here and the new touchpad. Got the 2 cup holders and then the cover there. All the new AC controls. Now, a lot of people say this is just a 4-door AMG GTR, and obviously this is similar to the GT, but being a big sedan, you have a big center console. You have rear seats, are actually pretty roomy and have more headroom than the CLS and almost as much legroom as the E63, almost about the same. You got charging ports back there. Now this is the 4-seater option. There is a 5-seater option, and there's also a 4-seater with the executive seating package. But this is, I guess, the middle of the range. Has the rear heated seats, Got the ambient lighting back there. Has the Burmeister system, which sounds very good. And what I love that Mercedes-Benz has started doing is these frameless mirrors, because before they used to look clunky, and now you've got this nice clean edge. You've got all your controls up here, full Alcantara headliner. And really the only, or one of the only small complaints I have about the inside of the car is the manual sunshade, which you might see it a little bit later. When you do race start or just accelerate hard, it'll fly open. I mean, it's not violent, it's secured, but it'll probably open halfway. And on very, very sunny days where you want to close the shade and the idea is to keep the sun out of your face and your eye, these little slots here actually have, and you see it right now, the sun is just coming through, and it can blind you temporarily, but either way, it's all good. And right now I've got the display in the Super Sport setting, so this is actually, even though it's the same size screens, the software's been completely changed with the Mercedes-Benz command. So let's see here, if we go all the way to the right, and you're using these haptic feedback little touch pads, which feel very nice, and they work very, very well. Go to Designs, put it in Sport, changes the screens, changes over here actually too. Or you can put it into Classic, which it's nice, but I really do prefer Super Sport. It gives you the most information right in front of you. So you have the large central tack. When you're in gear, you'll actually show the gears here. So if you put it in manual mode, it'll show you the next gear. Let's see if we exit out here and go back to AMG Performance. It'll show you all your boost settings. And using this, if you swipe to the right, you can actually control this side. So you can see G meter, more boost pressure, all the gauges. Let's see, just as AMG there. Tire pressure when we start driving, fuel range, navigation, stuff like that. And I think over here it's actually a little different. Let me see on the right, on the left side. So you've got so it's really all the performance stuff here, just the AMG section. I like leaving it there. And there's no carbon fiber inside here, but you do get this really nice black poplar open pore wood, and it's complemented by all the silver trim here. You got the full black leather with the white contrast stitching, and it's just really nice. It's a nice interior. And he's actually gotten the performance steering wheel, so you have the AMG dynamic on the side, the racing line here, and of course flat bottom. Got the AMG, got the 2-spoke here, the AMG logo there. It's got the performance pedals down there. And here's all the controls for the suite of technology. So you have the steering assist, lane keep assist, parking sensors. The lifter doesn't have a heads-up display or night vision, so these two are blanks. But really, if I had to choose two options not to have, it would probably be heads-up display and night vision. I really don't even care about having those. And they've actually moved the adaptive cruise controls from the little stock that used to be down here by the heated steering wheel and the steering wheel control to right here on the left side of the steering wheel. So you have basically the distance control, speed, you can set it, turn it off, cancel it, and we'll get some videos of that later. And you actually got the little shifter here. It's got the Falterbach crest on it. And a lot of complaints that people had about the AMG GT series, the GTC, GTS, and R, was being a two-seater, you had the rear bulkhead back here, and the shifter would be basically right here. So to go into park, reverse, drive, neutral, you basically have to reach back like that. But now it's basically a rest for your hand, and you can control the pad like that. And it's pretty easy. I mean, it's nice to go, to go into drive, go forward, 2 clicks to reverse, and then half a click to neutral. And then we'll put it in park. You just press P. And probably one of my favorite features in the car are these little screens. So here you have comfort. We'll go into sport, and it changes here. And actually the exhaust valves, if you go to Sport Plus, they'll open. Like that. So now they're open. And the idle just went up. And then if you go to race mode, the car changes even more. So the suspension here, you can choose to have it comfort, sport, sport plus. That puts it into sport handling mode if you hit traction control once, but if you hold it for, I believe, 3 or 4 seconds, now it's completely off. And it's turn it back on, you just hit it once. And here's for the drive mode. For the transmission, you can do just regular automatic or full manual. That way it won't auto upshift on you. If you go to individual here, that's slippery. Individual, you can basically configure here. So you can configure everything. So you can have in manual mode, exhaust open, auto start stop off, pretty much everything. But I really just prefer the canned mode. So you just do Sport or Sport Plus. I've been sticking with Sport Plus or Race mode for the most part. And being that this car is tuned, it's definitely noticeable how different the modes are. I haven't driven a stock car, so I really can't say. But being that it is tuned, in Sport Plus and Race is definitely the most rewarding to drive. So we'll close the exhaust for now because it is quite loud. Put it back into comfort. And here you've got the parking. So, of course, with the surround view, so you have the ability to find parking spaces, which we'll demonstrate in a second. So you have the front wide angle view, the narrow with the 360 top down view. These are the corners, so you can see the steering wheel turning. You can see all four wheels. And actually with the rear wheel steer, you can see it turn a little bit as well. And you have the rear wide angle, and then the rear narrow with the top down. And let's see, if we go to navigation, it's a nice big screen. Not touchscreen. The new ones are touchscreen with the MBUX, but this is, I guess, the last year that before the cars had the MBUX system. So we can go to radio, HD/FM, standard stuff like that. Go to car settings. And last night I actually showcased the ambient lighting, since you can kind of see it during the day, but not really. A little bit in the air vents, but... Okay, let's check out the ambient lighting in the GT63. So the menu's already open. Normally you just hit the vehicle button here. So from here we go down using this haptic feedback touchpad. Up to light settings, ambient light. Oh, actually it looks like his daytime running lights are off. We're going to fix that for him. So we go to ambient light. And from here you have a whole myriad of color choices. We have multicolor, so we'll start with ocean blue. Then we have purple sky, red moon, fire red, dawn blue, sun yellow, jungle green, just a whole bunch of colors. And if you don't want to do multicolor, you can go here and basically choose any color you want. Do a whole selection. I like the multicolor, so we're going to go back. We're going to stick with purple sky. And everywhere you could possibly look, you have ambient lighting. The footwells and the door cards here on the door panel, under the dashboard, up here on the footwell down there, in the back seat. And one really cool feature, you can see there, it says climate and welcome. The climate's checked. So when you put the temperature up, the passenger side turns red. And when you put it down, it turns blue. Same goes for the driver's side, either blue or red. Pretty cool. It's just, in the grand scheme of things, it's really just a small touch that makes the car feel even more special. They didn't have to go to this extent with ambient lighting. I mean, no other car company does that. I mean, BMW is starting to get there, but still haven't exactly reached the league of Mercedes-Benz. But they really make these cars feel special and unique. Your temperature. If we go back, vehicle data, which shows the height of the vehicle. So if we put the lifter on right here, the vehicle is actually rising right now. and you have the gas pedal. So right now the car is using 16% brake pressure to hold itself in place, and the car is currently rising. You can see that there. You got the gas here. There we go, it's rising. Yeah, you get the point. Put it down. Actually drops a lot quicker with the air suspension. So it's going down right now. And if we go back, got dynamic data, which is probably my favorite display. So this shows everything. So what mode you're in, G meter, the amount of brakes you're using. So if I hit the brakes, these arrows go back. They actually get a little bit darker too. It'll show the direction of the G, so you'll see that later when we're driving. Shows the boost, the horsepower and pound-feet of torque you're using. Yeah, I mean, that's probably my favorite screen. And I won't go too in-depth into the infotainment because in my E63S wagon review and the 2018 S63, I covered a lot, and this is pretty much the same. It's really identical for as far as the command software goes. But honestly, it's just, once again, Mercedes-AMG, Mercedes-Benz, they've knocked it out of the park as far as interior quality goes. I mean, you've got the comfortable, heavily bolstered seats, but I'm a bigger guy, and I fit perfectly in these seats. And you got the active bolstering, the air bladders that come out. There's massage functions. They're heated and cooled. You have the AMG logo here. Nice, comfy leather headrests. I mean, once again, you got the full Alcantara headliner. I mean, you're really not wanting for much here. And even the rear seats, they look like bucket seats. Well, they actually pretty much are. So you have the bolstering on the thighs and then the side, and then the fixed headrests there. And it's just a fast hatchback. I mean, it's a car that's capable of going over 200 miles an hour. Doing it, I mean, cruising on the Autobahn all day long with a family of 4. I mean, it doesn't get much cooler than that. Alright, so now we're going to get a start up in some revs and actually do some with the valves closed and open so you guys can see the difference. This car doesn't have downpipes or any kind of exhaust work. It still has the stock exhaust just with an ECU tune. So it's a good baseline still. Driving the 2019 Mercedes-AMG GT 63, otherwise known as the GT 4-door. I mean, this vehicle is an AMG from the ground up. It is actually the 3rd AMG vehicle that has been manufactured and designed, engineered solely in a Falterbach by the AMG engineering team. And it definitely has the AMG DNA in it. I've got it in Sport Plus right now. I've got the suspension Sport Plus. Actually, I've got the mode I'm in is race mode, so it puts the suspension, engine, transmission, and all that into its fastest responding settings. And I'm on a pretty curvy road, and the ride is very firm. You can feel every bump in the road. There's really no major undulations in the air suspension, but I mean, the steering is amazing. Every time I turn like that, just a little bit, go back and forth, I can feel the rear wheel steering doing its thing, and each corresponding active bolster, the air bladders in the seat, just keep me in. And it's just an amazing car to drive. I've driven the AMG GTR and GTS, GTC, all that, and the way this car responds, it responds like nothing else. I actually recently just drove and reviewed the Panamera Turbo S Sport Turismo, the e-hybrid. And that's a big wallowy car, and yes, it's fast, it's very fast off the line, but handling wise, it honestly doesn't really do the trick for me. I mean, the way this thing handles, I mean, look at this. It's just visceral. I'll put it in manual mode here. In race mode, it really loves to hold gears because it thinks you're on a racetrack. It's got the 9-speed multi-clutch gearbox. The shifts are lightning quick. On Sport Plus, similar to actually the 911 Turbo S, it'll give you a kick in the back of the head when you shift and you upshift and downshift. But if I put it back into Sport, or actually, yeah, we'll do Sport for now. It's comfortable, it shifts quicker. It doesn't let the RPMs go as high. And obviously Sport Plus and Race holds the gears a lot longer. But honestly, as driving experiences go, this is a sports car driving experience in a large family hatchback. It's a 5-door hatchback. I mean, it's got a big hatchback. See the big retractable rear spoiler out back. And it hugs corners like it's nobody's business. You can throw it into a corner like you can any sports car, any Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini. And it'll come out on the other end very composed, ready for more. And that rear wheel steering, just like in the AMG GTR and the GTC, really comes in handy. So here you guys have a better view of the digital gauge cluster, and I put it into super sport mode. I'm really not going to talk as much, mostly just going to let you hear the car and see the way it reacts. Got it in manual mode right now. Drop it down into race mode. And even in 5th gear, it pulls harder than most cars. So you would drop it down into 3rd. Yeah, 2nd, why not? And you got that very, very satisfying blow-off noise. You can hear the turbo flutter. You just really throw it into corners. Those brakes work really good. They're not even the carbon ceramics, they're just the big steel ones. And if I can, I'll do one race start. Actually, might as well just do it right here. Let's see, right here. So do a race start. Yeah, and you can, I don't know if you can tell in the video, but as soon as I did the race start, the sunshade in the roof flew open. It actually does that in the G-Wagons too. When you launch the G63, it'll do that. But yeah, this thing is just menacingly fast. You feel it pull in your face, you feel your eyes get pulled in the back of your head. And just like that, if you drop it down into comfort mode, suspension softens up, the exhaust valves close, transmission goes to the highest available gear, which is, right now it's in 6th at 40 miles an hour, but it can go up to 9. And 9th gear on the highway you're cruising, I mean, this thing will get easily over 20 miles per gallon, 25, I mean, it's got 4-cylinder mode, so 20, 22 miles per gallon. And it's just an enjoyable car to drive. Alright guys, well that should do it for this review of the 2019 Mercedes-AMG GT63. And again, I just want to thank my friend Fabricio for lending me the car and letting me review it. See you next time, guys.